Alice was chosen to protect the kingdom by pretending to be someone else. But when the true princess returns, the palace turns into a battlefield, and only one woman can wear the crown. It all began during one of the most dangerous times in England's history. King Richard the Lionheart had been captured during his return from the Crusades, imprisoned by the Duke of Austria. While the true king sat in a foreign cell, England waited, tense, fragile, and leaderless, and Prince John, Richard's younger brother, did not wait. He saw an opportunity. With the throne unguarded, and the nobles growing restless, he began to pull the strings of power. He made quiet deals. He stirred fear. The only thing stopping him from claiming the crown outright was the king's heir, Princess Eleonora. But then, the unthinkable happened. On a voyage to Normandy, Princess Eleonora disappeared. No word, no survivors, just an empty boat found drifting in the mist. Some said she drowned. Others believed it was sabotage. No one knew the truth. But the court did know one thing. Without Eleonora, the kingdom would crumble. Powerful houses would go to war. Prince John would rise, and the king, wherever he was, might return to find his country lost. So the king's advisors made a dangerous decision. A lie. Wrapped in silk and crowned in gold, they scoured the countryside in secret, and there in the wild forests of the north, they found her, a young woman, named Alice, the daughter of a healer, poor and clever, and most importantly, the spitting image of the missing princess. Alice had never seen the inside of a castle. She'd never worn shoes worth more than her home. But when the royal men came for her, she didn't run, she listened, and when they told her what they needed, to become the princess, to save a nation, she said yes. They took her to the capital in secret, scrubbed the dirt from her skin, dressed her in royal silk, taught her the names of nobles, the history of the realm, how to walk, talk, and smile like someone born with a crown on her head. Alice struggled. She made mistakes. She couldn't remember which goblet to use, or how to hold her spine straight like a lady. But she was smart. She watched, she listened, she learned. She found unlikely allies among the servants, who whispered tips and helped her practice after hours. A young scullery maid, Brita, showed her how to curtsy properly, while a stable boy, Tom, taught her the names of the nobles' horses and which lords owned which banners. She often snuck away to the kitchens at night to listen to gossip. There, she discovered just how dangerous her role really was. There were whispers about spies loyal to Prince John, dark rumors of bribes, secret meetings, and one name repeated in fear, Lord Blackthorn, a cold and powerful noble who supported John's claim to the throne. The court was told the princess had been ill, but had now recovered. Alice, now Princess Eleonora, was presented to the court. Nobles bowed. Whispers followed her through the halls. Some believed, some doubted. One man watched her closer than the rest. His name was Lord Eric. Tall, noble, quiet, a battle-worn protector of the crown. Eric had been close to the real Eleonora before she vanished. He knew her voice, her laugh, the small way she pinched her fingers when nervous. And though Alice had studied everything, she could not fake what she had never seen. At first, Eric doubted her. He questioned her softly, watched her closely, but Alice was careful, kind. She did not pretend to know what she didn't. When she slipped, she recovered with charm. When she stumbled, she turned it into a smile. Eric saw something new in her. The old Eleonora, but something else. Someone strong in a different way, humble, sharp, brave. And as he watched her take control of the court, calm a quarrel between nobles, speak with clarity before the council, comfort a frightened servant, he began to believe in her. He began offering to escort her to council meetings, and their conversations deepened. As weeks turned into months, belief turned into something more. Late one evening, in the gardens lit by torches and stars, Eric found her alone. She was barefoot, her hair loose, whispering to the night air. Not a princess, just a girl, Alice. She looked at him and asked, "Do you think truth matters more than peace?" He replied, "Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're enemies." And when she stepped toward him, her fingers brushing his hand, he didn't pull away. That night, They shared a kiss beneath the silver leaves, a kiss that sealed something neither of them could name. Not love, not yet, but the beginning of it. They began meeting in secret, sharing dreams, fears, even jokes. One night, he brought her a single rose from the battlefield, pressed flat in a small book. Even in war, there's beauty, he said. But peace never lasts in a stolen kingdom, because one morning, as the court prepared for another day of careful lies, a rider arrived, a woman, wrapped in a cloak, limping, scarred, her voice hoarse from screaming truths no one would believe. The real Princess Eleonora had returned. She had survived a shipwreck, betrayal by her own guard, and months of captivity. In a crumbling fortress controlled by mercenaries, she had escaped by slitting a guard's throat with a shard of broken pottery, swam through icy waters, crossed foreign lands, and traded everything she owned for a horse and a cloak. But the woman who returned was not the same one who left. Her body was scarred, her eyes sharper, her voice lower and filled with steel. When she arrived at court and demanded to speak before the council, no one recognized her. Alice stood at the head of the table, regal, radiant, composed, and when the stranger claimed to be Eleonora, even Eric blinked in confusion. Eleonora screamed the names of her childhood tutors, recited details no one else knew, begged for someone to remember her. But the court had already chosen a queen, and so began the war of whispers. Eleonora was not imprisoned, but neither was she believed. Alice agreed to let her remain in the castle, under supervision, of course. The two women became rivals, not on the battlefield, but in the halls of power. Eleonora tried to expose Alice, but Alice always stayed one step ahead. She mirrored Eleonora's truths with softer lies, and the court, so desperate for peace, began to doubt the real princess instead. One evening, during a grand banquet, both women arrived, one in royal crimson, the other in midnight blue. The nobles were too afraid to stare, but could not look away. Eric stood between them, unsure who to speak to first. Later that night, Eleonora cornered Alice in the old chapel. "You stole my face," she hissed. "You stole my life." Alice didn't flinch. "And you abandoned your people," she said. "If I hadn't taken your place, they'd all be dead or wearing Prince John's crest." The rivalry turned dangerous. Poison was found in Alice's goblet. Eleonora's horse was sabotaged. Eric was caught in the middle, torn between the girl he had come to love and the woman he once admired. Prince John saw opportunity in the chaos. With half the court unsure who the true heir was, he gathered an army and marched on the capital. Lord Blackthorn opened the gates of the Western Keep in betrayal, allowing John's forces to seize a third of the kingdom in just 1 month. In the heart of winter, the kingdom fractured. Eric rallied the loyal lords. Alice rode beside him in battle, not as a princess, but as a leader, clad in armor. Eleonora, too, rode out, commanding those who still believed in her bloodline, and for the first time, the Sisters of Fate clashed not with words, but with steel. During the siege of Dunley, Alice's banner nearly fell. Her forces were surrounded. Eric was wounded, and it was Eleonora, arriving like a storm, who broke through the enemy line and saved them both. That night, as Eric recovered by the fire, both women stood on opposite sides of his bed, watching him sleep. One touched his hand, the other his heart. The tension boiled over when they argued openly in the war tent. "He loves me," Alice said quietly. Eleonora narrowed her eyes. "He loved me before you even knew how to spell Duchess." And yet, neither could deny. They had both changed. They were no longer the healer's daughter and the royal heir. They were something else, forged by war and deception. Just when it seemed the kingdom might burn, a final rider came. King Richard had returned, with a foreign army and a fury that made grown lords tremble. He stormed the gates, faced John, and defeated him in a swift and brutal campaign. Then he demanded a council of truth. Both Alice and Eleonora stood before him. Alice knelt. "I deceived them to protect the realm. I will accept any punishment." Eleonora stood tall. "She did save the realm, but it was mine to save." Richard looked at them both, the daughter who bore his blood, and the stranger who had saved his crown. He made a decision that would change history. Eleanora would be restored in name, but she would renounce the throne. She would leave England to rule a quiet duchy across the sea, far from court. Alice would remain, not as queen, but as chancellor, the king's right hand, beloved by the people. Eric chose to stay by Alice's side, not out of duty, but love. Eleanora departed at dawn, cloaked in mist, never looking back. And thus, the kingdom was healed, not by blood, but by fire, lies, and two women who refused to be anyone but themselves. The crown had one head, but two hearts saved it.